Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the fall semester 2020 at Bergen Community College. This, of course, Com-101 Mass Media Communication. Now, let me just go ahead and begin by explaining why I look the way I look this morning. Some of you may have gotten the email last night. It came late last night. That about 9% of the student population who are taking lab courses, science labs, that kind of thing, especially those who are working towards one of the medical degrees, and even some of the medical classes that need to come on campus, they decided last night that those classes are now going to be delayed until September 21st. And even this morning, of course, a bunch of students that didn't get the email last night showed up at the college only to be turned away and said, you can't come back for almost 3 weeks. So with that kind of confusion, a bunch of emails came from the academic vice president. I said to myself this morning, all right, at least with these two mass media classes, Com-101 006 and 009, I'm going to look a little more relaxed. So instead of a nicer shirt, I kept a little scruff on my face, wearing my U.S. Marine Corps cap, hoorah. I thought, you know what, let me just come on. We're going to introduce the class, and we're going to do a little more laid back, because we're in unprecedented times. This is as crazy a time as I think I could ever imagine. And, you know, this class here, for example, I teach 2 in the spring and 2 in the fall, but I haven't seen this class since May. And, of course, we ended up finishing the semester after spring break online. But we did start in the classroom back in January. And then over the summer, I did teach the Com-100, but not the Com-101. So, and let me just lay it out here. This is my 22nd year at Bergen Community College, and I hate online classes. I have never once asked for an online class. I've never gone into any of the training for an online class. I have no desire. But yet, after what happened in March, where we left for spring break, and then I got an email saying, take another week for spring break. And then I got another email that said, oh, by the way, we're finishing the semester online. So, and there's a lot of you who may be returning to Bergen, or even if you just graduated from high school, probably didn't care too much that you finished high school online. A lot of you are not online learners. It's not what you want to do. But you know what? We're all in the same boat together, so we're going to get through this together. Now, one of the things I do with all my classes, and that's the speech communication and the mass media, is we're going to do it through Gmail. Okay? Some of you have asked me about Moodle. We may eventually incorporate Moodle into our class, but as for right now, we're going to do it through Gmail. It seems to be what works the best for me right now. It worked very well for my son. I had 3 classes in summer 1, 2 in summer 2, and all of this online stuff with the Gmail seemed to work extremely well. For example, in my speech classes in summer 2, most recently, which just ended 3.5 weeks ago, I finished each of those classes with 21 students, and I think 12 or 13 in each class got an A. All right? So I make it as easy as possible to follow along. I mean, you're still going to be challenged. It's a class. It's a college classroom. But I want to make it as easy as possible, especially for those of you who might have registered for this class several months ago, thinking, oh, by the time we get to September, we're going to be back in the classroom, and then all of a sudden, boom. But I'm glad you're with me here, because not only are we going to do the best we can to get through the semester together, but we're talking about one of the most exciting, and I say this every semester on the first day, that unlike many of the other courses that you take in college, the one thing about mass media is we're always constantly changing. I mean, this fall, we've got a new, updated version of the textbook, the 12th edition of Biagi. And yet, when it went to print earlier this year, already 30 to 35% of it is outdated. Thanks to what's happened with COVID as it relates to mass communication. I'll give you a great example. This is why I love this class so much, because things are always constantly changing and moving and adapting and maybe not adapting. Before I went on spring break, one of the discussions we had is what I like to do sometimes is when current articles come up pertaining to mass media, before spring break 2020, back in March, when I was in the mass media class, we were having a discussion about the big financial trouble Netflix was in. And yet, what's happened since COVID? Netflix isn't in financial trouble anymore. I mean, still fighting it out with Disney Plus and some of the others, but the bottom line is that things have drastically changed. Okay? The television landscape is so different that for 20 years, the website that I used to show you television ratings doesn't do it anymore. They just don't do it anymore. It's just too hard for them to do because there's so much to rate. There's so much out there. And it's so difficult to do now. There are still television ratings out there, and there are still companies. I mean, the one company, Nielsen, still does the TV ratings. It's whatever website picks it up. And I'll try to relay those to you as we go on through the semester. But television ratings are so difficult because there's so many different ways that we watch television. And one of my favorite things is, students will tell me, oh, I don't watch TV. Yeah, you do. Yeah, you may not sit in your parents' living room in front of a 42 or 50-inch screen on prime time at 8 o'clock on a Tuesday night and watch TV. But, for example, during a regular semester when I'm walking down the hallways of Bergen and I'm tripping over students who are laying in the hallway waiting for their next class, which is in for a half hour from now, what are they doing? They got their headphones in and they're watching something on their iPhone screen or their tablet or their laptop. Or those who are in the third floor of the library right before they fall asleep. And you know who you are, falling asleep on the third floor of the library. They're watching something. They may not be watching it on a television in their parents' living room, but you're still watching. Okay? As a matter of fact, when you look at all the different advances as every new iPhone or Android or whatever comes out, it's not what they're improving in the sound quality of the voice when I'm talking on the phone. No, it's the visual, it's the video. How much clearer it is. The high definition, okay? That's what they keep improving on these smartphones. So we all watch, it's just how we watch is very different than just sitting in front of a traditional television set and watching. Although some of us still do that quite often. So this is going to be a very exciting semester. Now, as you can see from your course outline, if you look down at the bottom, I do a points accumulation system. Now, there's a lot of points that you can accumulate, okay? I haven't figured it out yet how to reduce these points or try to do something else, but that's okay because it's not that difficult as long as you stay with me from now to December and hand in those assignments. Now, there are some major assignments, and you'll get assignment sheets that explain exactly what I'll be looking for. There's also going to be some quizzes. And what you'll do is I'll give you the quiz questions and you'll have time to go ahead and answer them and submit them to me. And then there's going to be some of those what I call minor assignments that when they all add up go towards that class participation grade. And as you can see, class participation next to the final exam is the most points that you can accumulate in this class. So you want to stay with me, get those assignments in, and we're going to have a good time doing it, especially talking about this changing landscape of mass media. As a matter of fact, when it comes to, the internet, okay, the World Wide Web, I remember, when I first started teaching this class, the internet was only about 5 or 6 years old. Well, we always look at 1995 as the birth of the internet in the sense that that's when it went mainstream, where almost anybody was now, the price of the PC, the personal computer, came down under $1,000, and now it allowed the internet to become widespread. So I only started teaching this class maybe 5 years after the internet had become such a mainstream tool to use. And in your chapter, the chapter was maybe 6 pages long. But especially now after COVID, I mean, the web and streaming and everything else has really just taken over. It is the way we do things. And as a matter of fact, if you haven't done it already, or if your parents haven't, I know a lot of you, you're just graduated from high school or you're still that traditional college age, you're not in charge of the cable yet. But yeah, I finally did it. Is a year ago, I cut my cable cord. And now all my HD TVs have Amazon Fire Sticks. Okay? And now I get my television, my regular television, through YouTube TV. And there are many other services that are out there, and they've really been springing up. And some of them have been extremely successful. I went with YouTube TV, number one, because it's YouTube, but number two, because if you can be the sole sponsor of the Major League Baseball's World Series, as some of you may have seen over the last 2 years, they have been the sole sponsor of the World Series. You've got to have some bucks. Unfortunately, they're charging a lot more bucks too. But anyway, so let me just give you a little bit about myself so you know who you're dealing with between now and December 21st. This is my 22nd year. My name is Mike Eccles. My 22nd year here at Bergen Community College. And it's a very special place for me. Because unlike, some of my colleagues come from a different part of the state or even from another state, I am a Bergen County guy. I'm a very loud, proud graduate of the Lyndhurst High School class of '83, Go Golden Bears. As a matter of fact, if you're from Garfield, Richfield Park, Cliffside Park, Fort Lee, Dumont, I hated your schools because those were my football rivals back then. But that's all right because I got over it about a year ago. And now, here I am at Bergen. Oh, first, I did become a student. I was actually a student at Bergen Community College also for one semester until they put me on academic probation. And then I decided, well, maybe college, I'm not ready yet. And that's when I went ahead, went down to Hackensack like a lot of your friends and family have done, walked in the recruiter's office and joined the United States Marine Corps, which thank God I did. Because if it wasn't for my 4 years in the Marine Corps, I would not be able to accomplish what came later. And when I got out of the Marine Corps, I went back to college, went to Kane University, go Cougars, played football, had a great time, and got my bachelor's degree in under 4 years. And then I went and got my master's degree at Indiana State University, Larry Bird University, for those who know their college and pro basketball history. And at Indiana State, right before I graduated with my master's, I hooked up with a radio station, and when I graduated, I then joined the morning show. And for 3 years, I did morning radio in Terre Haute, Indiana. And as you'll see from my YouTube channel also, not only did I do a little radio, but I did a little television too. I spent 2 years doing the commercials for the promos for the Fox affiliate in Terre Haute because there were only 3 television stations in Terre Haute, and one of them, Fox 38, did not have news. Whereas the other 2, their promos were always done with their news crew. They didn't have a news crew, they had me. So as you can see from my YouTube channel, I put together a little montage of a lot of the bits. Not every one of them either. There's some that I'm missing that I would love to get back again. But it was a crazy time in the 90s with very, very cheap Midwestern TV stations. But after being out in Indiana for 6 years, I did morning radio, did some television. But then I decided I really missed my mother's lasagna, and I loved teaching because I started teaching part-time also. But I realized I could teach full-time, make a lot more money, and not have to wake up at 2:30 in the morning anymore. You do morning radio for 3 years, waking up at 2:30 in the morning sometimes gets a little old. So I came back here to New Jersey in the fall of 1999, and I've been at Bergen ever since. And I look forward to this semester. Now, as you can see from your course outline, I've listed the textbook. All right, it's a brand new edition. And you can also see the picture. If you go to your schedule in your portal, you'll see a picture of the textbook. All right. Make sure you get the right book. Now, what I strongly recommend is that you rent the online version. That's the least expensive. Okay? It's the best way for you to get the book. But I'm going to give you at least a week to get the book. All right? Because what we're going to be doing is I'm going to be coming at you every Monday and Thursday mornings. I'll have a video for you, a little lesson. I'll hook probably or attach some assignments if need be. But every Monday and Thursday morning, you're going to be checking your emails because I'm going to be there. We may use Moodle, but at this point, we're sticking slowly with the Gmail. Now, I'm going to send you something today. I got the course outline, and I've got a questionnaire in the email itself. All right? I want you to answer the questions in the email. Now, it has nothing to do with the textbook. I'm going to give you some time to go get the textbook. And because next week, Labor Day is on Monday, this assignment is due at Monday at 8 p.m., the questionnaire. Okay? And what's going to happen after the Labor Day week is done, through the rest of September, October, November, December, is if I send you out an assignment on Monday morning, it'll be due more than likely that Wednesday at 8 p.m. I send you something out on Thursday morning, it'll normally be due by Sunday at 8 p.m. Luckily, with Labor Day, you got until Monday at 8 p.m. to answer just some questions about mass media communication. All right, you guys, that's it for now. I'm going to reach up here and hit my little button. And you guys have a terrific week. Answer those questions that I have in the email, and we'll see you on Tuesday morning. Go down to Jersey Shore, grab a last weekend, and we'll see you then.